I've got a fun project for you. Are you ready? So in this video, we are making Truth or Dare Jenga. This is not your regular Jenga. We are actually using Scotch Extreme Vinyls, which is sponsoring this video, and we are going to make a really cool version of the game. So are you ready? All right, let's dig in. So what we're going to need is some 2x4s. You're going to need probably 6 to 8 2x4s, and we're going to be using the Scotch Extreme Vinyl in lots of different colors, and you will need some sort of cutting device. I'm going to use my Cricut here, and I've got lots of colors, and we're going to get fancy and use a laminator. So let's start with cutting the wood. You want to make sure that you cut off any of those old edges of the boards. We don't want to use those. Okay, now that we have a nice clean edge, we're going to measure out 10.5 inches. But here's the thing, we need 54 pieces. That's a lot of wood. So I'm going to be using my track saw, and I've got an end here, a stop, that allows me to make repeatable cuts at 10.5 inches without having to measure every single cut. Most people aren't going to have this, and that's fine. You can actually just use a jigsaw as well, or you can use a miter saw with a stop. You can use a circular saw. There's a lot of ways that you can cut this. So don't feel like you have to use one particular tool. It's kind of an easy project if you at least have a jigsaw. Now, the most time-consuming part of this project was all the sanding of 54 pieces. That took a long time, even with an orbital sander, because there's so many different sides to each piece, and you've got 54 of them. So you do the math. Now, you can do this by hand. It does take a long time. Even with the orbital sander, it took a long time. So thankfully, I have a belt sander, and I switched over, and that was allowing me to get it done a little bit more quickly. And I was able to maneuver the pieces to get a little bit of a rounded edge on the edges. So when I was done, they were pretty smooth, and we were ready for the next step, which is to put one coat of top coat. We want to protect the wood when we're playing with these outside. I chose to go with a flat top coat because I wanted the pieces to not be shiny. I didn't want them to be sticky so that they're sticking to each other and they wouldn't slide out easily when we're playing Jenga. The flat coat was perfect. I did one coat, let them dry, and when they were fully dry, I took 320 grit sandpaper and just quickly smoothed it out so that they were feeling pretty good to touch, and that's it. For this project, I'm using the Scotch Extreme Vinyl, and I really loved working with this because most vinyl is going to bubble up on you whenever you're trying to apply it, but this didn't have any bubbles, and it's water resistant, so you can use it outdoors, you can use it indoors, it's not going to fade in the sunlight, and now I'm using it on Jenga pieces, which are flat pieces of wood, but if you're using it on a surface that's curved, it still works well. You're not going to get the bubbles. So I'm using the Cricut design space here with my Cricut machine, and we're creating envelopes to hold all those Truth or Dare cards. And you'll see here what I'm doing, but I will put down in the blog post the exact dimensions that I used for cutting these out. But I sent it to the Cricut, and it cut flawlessly, and it was very easy to take it off of the mat and apply it to all the Jenga pieces that I needed. I'm actually going to be putting it on 25 pieces of the 54. And so for each color, I did about 3 or 4, probably 3 different pockets on all the different colors. And the colors were just so vibrant, and I loved that they were glossy. I love that too. So once I had everything cut, it was time to go to my shed, wipe everything down, make sure there's no dust, and just peel away all the pieces. Now, the larger piece is the piece that's going to go directly onto the Jenga board or the Jenga piece. And then the smaller pieces are going to create the pocket. And here's how I did that. So with this smaller piece, I turned it over so that the sticky side was up. And then there's a smaller piece that actually gets lined up at the top and then adheres together. So you're essentially creating the inside of the pocket by placing this piece here. Because remember, we want to put Truth or Dare cards in these little pockets. But you still have a little bit of an edge here, about a 1/4 inch all the way on the left, the right, and the bottom. And that's what's going to stick to the piece that we just applied. And you'll line that up on the bottom and then just use your fingers. And the thing about this Extreme Vinyls is that once you push on it, it's pressure activated. So it's going to stick. And if you want to remove it, you can. It's not difficult to do. But once you place it, it's there until you're ready to remove it. So once I had all the pockets done, it was time to work on the cards. Since this is going to be a family-friendly game, I decided the first set of cards I'd make were going to be geared towards family and kids. And so I did 10 fun truths and 10 fun dares and 5 wild cards. But you can actually make a set for teens, adults, whoever your population is that you're entertaining. And I did do that on the Cricut. I used some cardstock, I used a pen, and then I put it through my laminator so I could get a little fancy with it, and then just trim them down to fit the pockets that I made with the Scotch Extreme Vinyls. So I shuffled all the cards, put them in the envelopes, and then carried everything out to the yard. And I have to forewarn you, it's very heavy carrying 54 pieces of 2x4s. So get a good carrying case. You can make one if you want, but I've got this container. And when I started placing them, in the traditional Jenga formation, what I noticed is that the envelopes with the Scotch Extreme Vinyls and the card inside, it didn't add any bulk to it. I mean, I just continued to build them as normal. And when I was done, you couldn't even tell where the cards had been placed. So it was time to call the kids for some fun. You can pull from anywhere. And if you pull one that has a card, then it's a truth or dare.
What?
Yeah.
What's my truth or dare then? My turn. It's my turn.
It's Henny's turn. It's Henny's turn.
It isn't.
Mommy.
Okay, that's okay. Let Henny go.
No,
let Kojo go. Let Kojo go. Let Kojo go. You know it had to be fun if you have your kids arguing about whose turn it is. And it was so much fun that my oldest son came out and he wanted to participate. And it was just a lot of fun. And I can't wait to use this during the spring and summer. But guess what? You can play it inside as well. And it's going to be fun all year long. Well, guess who lost? That would be me. So I ended up having to do dishes and clean the floor that night. There you have it, guys. Truth or dare giant Jenga for your yard this spring or summer. You can play it indoors. This was a lot of fun with the kids. And the only thing is they're going to go inside and not want to help you clean up. Anyway, if you like this project, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Be sure to go to Extreme Vinyl down below. Click the link to learn more about how to make this. And I will see you next project.